It's hard to share all the things that I've experienced in the last 5 years in Iraq.
For the past 12 years, every winter for 2 or 3 months, I have been going to Palestine, to the city of Hebron, an ideal place for an experiment in nonviolence. One of the most important things you can do when there's conflict is to listen. And most of us are not very good at listening. It's a skill I think we have to learn. We also act as international observers. I like to say we have the grandmother effect. There are things that nobody would do if their grandmothers were watching them. There are things none of you would do if your grandmothers were watching. There are things that soldiers will not do if they know somebody is watching them. We also engage in nonviolent direct action. If we know that the Israelis are going to demolish a Palestinian house, we'll go and sit on the roof of the house and they have to arrest us before they can demolish the house. We also engage in actions of hope. We bring Palestinians and Israelis together. And that's really exciting. When you see people who are supposed to be enemies hugging and kissing each other and accepting each other as friends.
When I spoke out about this, I said, I love and care for my grandchildren, and I know the Iraqi grandparents also love theirs. And so I began to see this as an extension of my family, the Iraqi people. Just as you would go to a dangerous situation to be with your family, I began to go there to be with my family and part of God's family. And we went there to live among the Iraqi people, to hear their stories of threat and pain. And I fell in love with the Iraqi people. And I continued to come and go back to Iraq. Some of us felt led to stay on during the bombing of Baghdad during the war, and I was one of them. When the bombs began to fall, I cried out in grief to God, "Where are you in all of this?" It didn't make any sense to me. And then it came to me more clearly that God was there. God was here with me. This is exactly where a loving God, a God who cares for people who experience and suffer war, would be. And this was where God wanted some of His people to be.
Most Americans will only accept one argument against war. Only one. And that is, and if you want to argue about Iraq, there's really only one argument you can use with most Americans, and that is, it's not in America's best interest. People will listen to that argument, no moral argument. And that includes the churches. I speak in a lot of churches, and the response always is political, not biblical, not moral. How does Jesus ask us to respond to our enemies? Love them, feed them, pray for them, and offer aid and comfort to our enemies. That's what Jesus says. Do you accept Jesus, or do you believe He was an idealistic fool?
paradise.